This is a recording for chapter 133 of The Promised Neverland titled Let's Play, and the reason why I'm covering this chapter is because this is one of my favorite chapters in the manga because Ray and Emma went back to an illusionary form of Gracefield House in the Seven Walls arc. So in the slogan for the beginning chapter is saying, on a one-way trip towards hope now onto the unexplored house. When I first read this, I was shocked because I really wanna see more of the backstories or flashbacks that they encountered in the illusionary Gracefield house back at the Seven Walls arc. Or even like something more tragic, but then this chapter has more of the adventure, horror-esque type, or horror-like type, instead of these tragic flashbacks. Yes, it's tragic in a way, but it's shonen, it's adventure. And that's the direction that this chapter went on to. Let's Play, chapter 133. But I really love how Emma and Ray, just by looking at the outside of the Gracefield house, they have terrified, frightened faces. Imagining going back to a location or a place, seeing experiencing the most terrible memories on that place, and going back to that house for Ray and Emma, it really shook them to the core because they have had terrifying memories generated in this place, both terrifying and wonderful. This is the home, quote unquote, where they grew up. This is where they also tried to formulate a plan to escape. This is one of the locations in their lives where many things happened. Norman getting shipped, Connie's death, them being able to discover that the orphanage is really an illusionary location or a place where children are bred. So it really brings back Emma memories of her childhood on Gracefield House. And Ray and Emma are both terrified that they're coming back, even if it's just an illusion. It's illusionary, but then it can traumatize them. And that's why I really love this chapter, because it brings back those terrifying memories to these kids, even though it's not good for the characters. On one hand, for storytelling point of view, it's really interesting and enthusiastic to look at. So Emma and Ray are frightened that this black sphere ball just had its eye opened, and of course that would be terrifying. And that house is like a maze where different doors opened up. I really love how Ray encountered a fake or an illusionary Isabella, because it materializes his one of his greatest fears, knowingly shipping the children out and knowingly letting the Mama Isabella ship them out, or knowingly letting Mama Isabella have the children be killed off. It's one of Ray's most terrifying moments in the manga, and of course, looking at Mama Isabella, even though she's just illusionary, it just terrified him. And even that hug, I don't know if he feels something, well, maybe perhaps anger or disgust, but then Mama Isabella saying to Ray, "You're so big, you've grown," and he just shoved her. And you can really tell that Ray is traumatized, not just by Mama Isabella, but the kids like Connie, Hao, and Sedi, whom were shipped out, and he knowingly knew at that time, back in Gracefield Orphanage, that they're gonna be killed, what their destinies are. Ray's traumas got into him that he even became a child, literally on one page of the panel, and he just have to escape from the skeletons that are frightening him, and it's really insanely good at this point. Emma, on the other hand, have to go around different doors, different mazes just to get out. Chibi form or children form Ray and Emma are so adorable, and then when you go on later to the manga, it really shows Emma's terrified face when children or toys, children in their skeleton forms and different toys chase them. And so it terrified Ray and even made Emma childlike, or literally like a child. And they're just so adorable, even though this is supposed to be terrifying. Putting those little moments where chibi form Emma and Ray having that conversation. It's too adorable that I can even say that this is one of the cutest chapters in this arc, in the Seven Walls arc, because it's a little bit light. And I love how the author is not bouncing. I love how the author is not just putting us horror scenes after one another. He just gives us some light scenes like this, and it's very refreshing to see that in a horror thriller, shonen manga type like The Promised Neverland. And so they realize that the only way for them to get back to their natural forms is when they realize that they need to be adult again. When their fears overcome them, they become childlike. But when the children, when Ray and Emma overcome their fears, they become adult-like. So that's kind of like an analogy that I'm getting at. And then the toys surrounding them saying, let's play, let's play. Of course, it's gonna be creepy as hell. And then Emma realized one of the sheep reminds me of Baba Black Sheep, because like cattle children, and then this is like another farm-like animal. One of the sheep is actually the child demon god, and I believe the child demon god is like lonely because he's been alone all his life, and he just wants Emma and Ray to play with him in a way that's horrifying and then deadly as well. So of course they try to find the child demon god here, and they, at the end of the last panel, they have to go inside like a washing machine of some sort, just to follow the arrows where the child demon god wants them to play. And the last page of chapter 133, I love how references like 12.10.36 referring to December 10, 2036. At that time, I'm not sure how what's Norman, Emma, and Ray's ages were at 2036, but that was like 9 years ago from 2045, which brings me to the point that they must be like around 2 years old at that time. Yeah, that's about it. They're 2 years old at that time. So basically, when they were 2 years old, it's like a reference 12:10:36 on one of the last pages of the manga. And even like saying that there's TPN there, referring to The Promised Neverland, of course. So that's my review for chapter 133. I know it's a bit quick, but this chapter is a lot of action in it, and you're not gonna get bored. You're not gonna be super terrified. You're not gonna be super terrified. At the same time, you're gonna laugh and a little bit feel some hilarity on this chapter, despite its horror themes incorporated here. So thank you very much for listening, and have a great day. Bye.